Welcome to Business Soul. My name is Paul Capelli and I'm your host. Today we'll have a chat with Riz Wasti. Riz is running 2E Accountants, an accountancy firm based in South London, specialized in small and medium enterprises and sole traders such as me. Welcome, Riz. How are you?
Thank you, Paul. I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm very excited for this chat. So, how is your day-to-day going on in this crazy period?
Yeah, it's good. So, with the nature of our work, we are able to work remotely anyway. It's just like everyone else, we are working from home at the moment and just waiting for things to calm down and start to go back to normal.
Okay. So basically, I wanted to hear today because we were having a chat with colleagues a while ago, and we knew a little bit about the difference between a sole trader and a limited company, but nobody actually really knew everything about that. So I thought, let me just ask Riz what is the real difference, and when it's more convenient to do one rather than the other. So can you tell us a little bit the main difference between the two entities, basically?
Yeah, the self-employed business and a limited company, there are a lot of differences, but I'll keep it short and relevant to what people ask me for small businesses and startups. So if people come to us, how we help them understand the differences and what their responsibilities will be if they go one way versus the other. So the easy way to start explaining is that normally everyone had done a job somewhere. So we have an understanding of how it works with when you're employed somewhere. So when you are in an employment, you receive a monthly salary and you receive a pay slip. But what's happening is your employer is calculating your income and taxes, deducting your tax and national insurance and paying it to HMRC. And they're also doing monthly returns to HMRC. But when you are self-employed, the good news is you don't have to do it on a monthly basis, but you still have to tell HMRC at least once a year what your income was and what your tax liability is, and then you have to pay tax to HMRC. So that's a quick way to compare self-employed to being an employee. And then we look at, so now what's the difference between self-employed and the company? So when you registered a company, now you have created another entity, another person, not an actual person, but another legal entity. Now HMRC is not only interested in you and your personal income, now we are also interested in the company's income, what company is doing. So if you create a company, you register a company, you are responsible for the accounts and the tax liabilities and affairs of the company. So when you start a company, you do double your work, right? And so the company has to do its own accounts, and company has to pay its tax liability and do its tax returns to HMRC. And the second thing company has to do is also satisfy another government body called Companies House. So Company House is where the company is registered, and the Company House is interested in the accounts and other information about the company, for example. So who the shareholders are, who the directors are, where the registered office is. So you are on an ongoing basis, you have to do certain returns and keep Companies House updated about the company situation. So there is a bit more work involved when you run a business as a company versus when you run a business as self-employed. So this is a very short explanation of a difference relevant from compliance point of view.
Sure. For what I hear, basically, if as a sole trader you open a limited company, you also have to pay your own taxes as well.
Yes. Right? So the company has to pay its own taxes, and if you are getting money from the company, it could be in the shape of a salary or very often dividends because you're a shareholder of the company as well. So then you still have to do your tax return and show what your income was and how much tax you paid, what is underpaid, what you still have to pay. So you still have to do personal tax return, but company also has to do corporation tax return.
I see. So it seems to me that it's a lot more administration to have a limited company. So can you tell us a little bit what are the real benefits of having a limited company compared to just staying as a sole trader?
The main difference is that the company is a limited liability company. So all the business relationships are with a company, not you personally, which means that the company is dealing with the clients and suppliers and customers, and all liabilities are within the limited company. So your personal properties you're not personally held responsible for the business affairs. So that's one of the key differences why the concept of company was originally started and why it's so popular. But apart from that, although it sounds like more work, but if you want to grow a business, you will have to set up as a company. There are a number of advantages of doing that. As a self-employed, you are limited to grow a business. So you have to bear in mind, still, for some people, being a self-employed might be a better option than a company. But there are advantages to having a company.
So, and how does it work in terms of VAT?
So with regards to VAT, there is some confusion. We often have people coming in and saying that if they register as a company, do they also have to do VAT returns? And the answer to that is that it doesn't matter. When it comes to VAT regulations, it doesn't matter what your business structure is. If your business is doing a turnover of 85,000 and above, or whatever the threshold is at the time, it would be compulsory for your business to register for VAT, whether you're a self-employed business or a limited company. So bear that in mind. And the other thing is, only if you are providing services that are not VATable, then you don't have to worry about VAT. But as long as you are providing VATable services, and if your sales is above a certain threshold, you would have to register for VAT. It doesn't matter if you're self-employed or a company.
I see. Yeah, it makes sense. And when would you advise a sole trader to switch to a limited company? Is there any point in time, I don't know, a certain amount of revenue or a certain amount of responsibility?
So it is an important decision and it depends of number of factors. So the best thing is to get advice in individual cases. And in general, I would say that every decision, try to make it a business decision. See if there are business reasons to have a company rather than operate as a self-employed business. And don't worry too much about the taxation, but we can do analysis of the tax as well. Sometimes it's beneficial to operate under a limited company for tax purposes as well, but that shouldn't be your reason to make the decision. In terms of at what point it will be more tax efficient for a business to be a company, then usually if the profit starts to go up 40, 50,000, you can start analyzing, if being a limited company is more tax efficient. But as I said, that may not always be the case, and that should not be your decision-making process.
So, yeah, thank you, Riz. It's quite a complicated thing, and again, you just mentioned to go and seek advice of a professional in terms of business decisions, because they're very fundamental for the life of the company, etc. So I think it is a little bit more clear for everybody, for all of us. So thank you so much for your expertise, and we'll hopefully catch up soon for another chat about one of your specializations.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks for inviting me.
My pleasure. See you next time.
All right. See you. Thanks. Bye-bye.